Hey everybody, what's going on? We're about to get the show started here. Thanks for being here. I see Salt, Paul, Johnny Cool, Lucky Luciano, Daniel G, Johnny Cool. What's up everybody? YouTube exists. You're here. Craig B, what's going on? Okay, let me jump over to Rumble. Who do we got on Rumble? Ooh, Rumble is a little light today. Let me send out the text message. Y'all should be receiving the text message any moment now. Of course, if you're here already, that's one thing. But if you are not receiving the text messages and you want to be on the text message alert system, you can text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's text the word Canary to 740. No, that's not it. It's Canary to 877-740-3226. Go ahead and do that. Thank you very much. Oh, we got a Twitch person. What's up? 122go2. It's Friday, folks. We're doing it. Okay, as a reminder, of course, you can leave us a pre-show prayer. You can leave us all sorts of messages, voice messages from any device. Just go to canarycrynewstalk.com. You'll see a green tab on somewhere on the right hand or the bottom part of the page there. Click on that. You can leave us a voice message, ask us questions, give a shout out, do whatever, or leave a pre-show prayer. It's a great way to get the show started here. All right, folks. I hear that we do have a pre-show prayer, so we will start with that and then get going.
This is not time, this is not treasure, this is talking to the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today, this day that you've made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I ask you, God, would you refresh our guardian angels, edify our angles, so we reflect your light correctly where it needs to go the most. Bless us with contrition, and watch over our families here. Your beloved, thy will be done. Amen.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is August 11th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 654, and today, robots writing Russian. And signing on from off the grid, you're not crazy, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
Sometimes you make me feel crazy, though. And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena, countdown to death.
Ooh. Yeah, well, okay. It is episode 654, so we've got kind of a countdown
exactly.
going on.
I didn't think you would get it, Basil. Good job, buddy.
Wow.
Good job.
All right. Well, we are currently on YouTube. Who knows how long that'll last for, but we might as well give the disclaimer while we're at it.
Yeah, most mine.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. And hit that like button, folks, while I give you the rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Well, we're starting off with a truly bizarre twist of events. The New York Post headline, scientists admitting overwhelming consensus on climate crisis is manufactured. Well, isn't that just a breath of fresh air? Speaking of which, we'll be talking about the plans for geoengineering. It seems like almost like an ancient topic on this show, but as we come closer and closer to the end, drastic measures must be deployed. Then we'll be talking about Russians riding robots in space. In the middle part of the show here, we will be touching on the Utah man killed by the FBI. But then, first in quite a few episodes, we've got a pandemic special, checking in with COVID, the new subvariant coming for you and your kids, and the Greek goddess that it is named after. And of course, watch out while you're taking showers, folks. COVID's gonna get you. And then at the end of the show, Nephilim update and Antarctica. Let's start with those lead stories, Guns.
I think that was the tightest run through that you've done.
Yeah.
Well done.
And
like
which is why we're going to just sort of chill here in silence for a while we just
so Bill Gates disrupts your conversation.
Climate change. Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out. Climate change. Climate change. Climate change.
A mass extinction.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting, Gons. This was fun. It was fun because this is, of course, something that we scream about every time we talk about Antarctica, which is the broad distance between the reality of what climate scientists are trying to tell us and what the media just can't get off their mind. Which is we're all going to die, of course. But the New York Post coming in hot with some truth-telling, baby. Who knows? It's almost too much truth-telling, too much. The truth hurts sometimes, even when you're waiting for it. This is coming from NewYorkPost.com, of course. The headline, Scientist admits the overwhelming consensus on the climate change crisis is manufactured. Ooh, this sounds like it should be on some sort of blog that's
Drudge.
That's shadow banned on the Facebooks or something. But nope, here we are. And what I love about this article is that it actually runs through the process by which the climate crisis is incentivized. And it doesn't just stop at like, hey, yeah, it's all a big conspiracy. It's like, no, this is from an individual person who has received the incentivization that was promised to her, and she didn't like it. So it goes like this. We are told climate change is a crisis and that there is an, quote, overwhelming scientific consensus. Quote, it's a manufactured consensus. Climate scientist Judith Curry tells me. Now, Judith Curry sounds like a familiar name to me. I don't know if we've covered some of her stuff before or what. Or maybe Judith Curry is just one of those names.
Maybe Curry is the thing because we have Adam Curry, right?
Perhaps.
We have Steph Curry, Eddie Curry for people that are really throwback.
Chicken curry, yeah. She says
scientists
have an incentive to exaggerate risk to pursue fame and fortune. Oh. She knows about that because she once spread alarm about climate change. The media loved her work when she published a study that seemed to show a dramatic increase in hurricane intensity. Quote, we found that the percent of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes has doubled, says Curry. Quote, this was picked up by the media. And then climate alarmists realized, oh, here's the way to do it. Tie extreme weather events to global warming. Now, this is an especially interesting example, this Judith Curry, because seemingly she is sort of uniquely positioned as the reason for the relatively recent phenomenon of, oh, there's hurricanes, that's climate change. Oh, there's blizzards, that's that's climate change. The actual day-to-day weather events being tied to climate change. Because before this, it was just this amorphous idea that we're 0.5 degrees centigrade higher overall spread out, even if you're got normal weather or cooler weather. It's not about that, man. It's about the average. But this tying the climate crisis to individual weather events is something we've seen for, I'd say, a couple of years, but especially recently, it's just out of control. Especially things like blaming wildfires and earthquakes on climate change.
Just real quick before we move on, Judith Curry is 70 years old. She looks good for 70, and
looks good for 70.
She retired from academia in 2017, according to the wiki here. And it's funny because it says here, Curry has been known as a contrarian scientist hosting a blog, which is part of the climate change denial blogosphere.
Oh, the blogosphere.
The whole thing. This is what's crazy about it. Social scientists who have studied Curry's position on climate change have described it as, quote, neo-skepticism, in that her current position includes certain features of denialism. On the one hand, she accepts that the planet is warming, yada, yada, yada. But on the other hand, she basically says it's not as quickly, it's not happening as fast, and it's not as alarming as the media is making it out to be. But it's just neo-skepticism and denialism, according to social scientists who are the professionals at taking any topic and making it official through academia.
Making it personal.
Making it personal, yeah.
Well, it's fun because she kind of runs down the process. And the fun part is that the process is no surprise. It was an easy process to pick apart, to analyze. We've heard it across the podcastosphere, not so much the blogosphere. So let's see here. I'm going to jump down just a sec. I'll start where I left off here. Then it kind of goes into a couple quotes here, a conversation between the author and the scientist. Quote, so this hysteria is your fault, I tell her. Quote, not really, she smiles. They would have picked up on it anyways, but Curry's, quote, more intense hurricanes gave them fuel. Quote, I was adopted by the environmental advocacy groups and the alarmists, and I was treated like a rock star. Curry recounts, flown all over the place to meet with politicians. But then some research, so you get this is something we love pointing out, the celebritization of climate scientists.
You're just a struggling climate scientist. All of a sudden, you get flown around, private jets. You're talking with presidents and politicians and important people in the world. It's the exact same recruiting method as, deceiving spirits. Inviting people into the new age era.
Well,
and all that
you see the same thing with like Greta. Greta's not even a scientist, but she can get attention, say the right things, and then become some sort of celebrity.
Kind of the Epstein thing too. The treatment, right? I mean, Epstein probably took it that was like the next level of like, okay, well, you like this, well, we have more, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to directly tie these two concepts together, but I understand your point.
It's all the same pyramid, bro. It's all the same pyramid.
But then some researchers pointed out gaps in her research, and this is the interesting part. Then some researchers pointed out gaps in her research, years with low levels of hurricanes. So this is something that we see a lot in sort of our space guns, which is looking at the data that these scientists sort of accumulate, and you look at it and you can kind of point out problems with the way that they've arranged things. And then comes the big question: do they, adjust their science to better data or not? Well, Judith here, quote, like a good scientist, I investigated, says Curry. She realized that the critics were right. Part of it was bad data. Part of it was natural climate variability. Curry was the unusual researcher who looked at criticism of her work and actually concluded they had a point. Then the ClimateGate scandal taught her that other climate researchers weren't so open-minded. Alarmist scientists' aggressive attempts to hide data suggesting climate change is not a crisis were revealed in leaked emails.
A long time ago, man.
Long time ago.
Like
yes,
10 years, 12 years ago or something.
Already forgotten.
Yeah,
really.
Completely forgotten.
quote, avoiding Freedom of Information Act requests, trying to get journal editors fired. It made Curry realize that there is a, quote, climate change industry set up toward to reward alarmism. Quote, the origins go back to the UN Environmental Program, says Curry. Some United Nations officials were motivated by anti-capitalism. They hated the oil companies and seized on the climate change issue to move their policies along. The UN created the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Quote, that's the IPCC. The IPCC wasn't supposed to focus on any benefits of warming. This reminds me of the story from last episode, the benefits of air pollution. The IPCC's mandate was to look for dangerous human-caused climate change. Quote, then the national funding agencies directed all the funding, assuming there are dangerous impacts. The researchers quickly figured out, and here's the key, the researchers quickly figured out that the way to get funded was to make alarmist claims about man-made climate change. This is how manufactured consensus happens. Even if a skeptic did get funding, it's harder to publish because journal editors are alarmists. Quote, the editor of the journal Science wrote this political rant, says Curry. She even said, time for debate has ended. Yeah, that's kind of the new phase. It's kind of the new phase we've moved into this year, which is like, no, we're not even debating. There is no debate. Quote, what kind of message does that give, adds Curry. Then she answers her own question. Quote, promote the alarming papers. Don't even send the other ones out for review. If you wanted to advance your career, like be at a prestigious university and get a big salary, have a big laboratory space, get lots of grant funding, be director of an institute, there was clearly one path to go. That's what we've got now, a massive government-funded climate alarmism complex. There you go. Written in black and white, folks, on the New York Post. Of course, New York Post, the oldest newspaper in America, but that won't stop some critics from calling it, some sort of quack outlet. But still, pretty impressive to see it written in any mainstream outlet.
Well, it speaks to the many things. One of them is the conspiracy theory mainstream sort of shift in how they frame conspiracy theorists. Remember I think it was New York Times that said, or maybe it was the Atlantic that said, hey, your conspiracy friends may not be so crazy. And so, it sets up for this type of analysis, maybe deconstruction, but also we're kind of in the whistleblower era. And she's not really a whistleblower per se, but it seems like there's a lot of people who went through the system the last 20, 30 years in various ways, in this case with climate science, that are speaking out now that, she's retired, she's got a blog. I mean, she can sort of do it without any kind of risk. But the question is whether
she's already suffered the punishment.
She already has, or yeah. So she's moved on. But whether this type of thing, and I think the actual change in how all of this is structured is slow coming, but we've brought up this idea of decentralized science before. I think the old way of funding is going to go away. We're going to have new crowdsourced funding of science, and that's the way we will generate a new consensus mechanism. And there's already projects in the works to do this, but we'll see a lot more of that in mainstream conversation as we go along, because part of COVID and the problem with COVID was all the centralization, all the shiftiness, the misdirection, the science not aligning with the reporting, with the institutional leaders saying things that don't align with this. So all that to expose all this problem, all the problems we have within the system, the old way, and then part of the fourth industrial revolution and the Great Reset. You got to tear it down. You got to tear down the old stuff to build the new stuff. Right. So this fits right into that whole agenda.
Yeah, it really is just one example of a greater movement we've seen recently, which, as tempted as I might be to celebrate this moment in history, that they will never let a good crisis go to waste. I mean, we are in, like you said, a whistleblower era or something.
Something like
the trust in institutions is at its lowest, in maybe ever when it comes to government, the medical industrial complex, the military industrial complex. People are even just corporate mainstream media, all former quote unquote trustworthy institutions, even Hollywood itself being dismembered right in front of our eyes with the strikes going on and the sort of corporate unwillingness to bend to the fact that we are in a new era and to create a new system or whatever. I think it's interesting how the climate change industry is sort of the very last one to get this deconstruction treatment.
Yeah. I think the banks will be the last ones.
Yeah,
probably.
Although we've, in a way that process has already started. You've got these long-standing institutions, banking, one of them. I mean, you could argue that started with crypto, but I mean, Hollywood, 100-year-old institution, governments, of course, these things. The climate change incentivization institution, whatever, really is only a decade or so old. So
it probably goes back a couple. I mean, if we really wanted to dig in, it probably goes back a few decades.
Yeah, I mean, in its current form, I'm thinking 2008, around there is when it really picked up as like
I think it's even earlier than that because.
Okay, doesn't matter. But the point is, it's the youngest. I believe it's the youngest one.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
The youngest entrenched institution, and so maybe it makes sense that it's kind of the last one to start getting picked apart, but it's fun to watch. That's the real thing. It's fun to watch.
And I'm starting to see also, and this is no surprise to people who have been listening and watching over the years, but we always talk about the pendulum swinging right and left, and what it's becoming more so than a right-left issue is centralized versus decentralized. And I wish I had a better term than decentralized because I know it's overused, especially in the crypto world. But it really that's what it is.
A little loaded now.
It's loaded now, yeah. But if you think about it, that's kind of what it is. Where, hey, you want your science to be funded by the people, and we can do it now with technology and social media and all this stuff, and do it in a transparent way. Or are you going to trust these like large organizations like the UN and the FDA and these groups that clearly showed their incompetence throughout the last 3 years, especially. And what does AI play a role in all of it?
Sure.
The UN's fixing themselves with AI. We can trust them now. Like part of the population.
And right. And well, not to be confused with what somebody might think you're saying is that the technology is going to save us from all this, and we're heading towards some sort of utopia where we don't need institutions. No, there's already a plan in place. That's Klaus Schwab's whole thing. The Great Reset is to destroy all former institutions. It is a purposeful destruction of trust in our current old school institutions in order to rebuild it in sort of the technocratic utopian vision that is the Great Reset, NWO 2.0, World Economic Forum, fascist, techno-fascism type of thing. So there you go. Again, but anyway, as far as this article goes, interesting to see. I would love to see this spread to like a Wall Street Journal or something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, that's kind of the next level. Who picks it up? Bloomberg, Atlantic, those types of outlets. But yeah, let's continue on here because I think this next article fits in well with the whole paradigm that we've just sort of walked through with the New York Post article.
Geoengineering.
And this is coming from Popsci.com. That's popular science, right? Popsci. The headline, would a massive shade between Earth and the sun help slow climate change?
Now, this is funny. We don't need to hit every line because we have covered stuff like this several times before. The geoengineering, all the crazy ideas, Bill Gates and his giant mirror in space, and of course, chemtrails, all this kind of stuff. We've been hearing recently, even Biden himself writing about geoengineering and how it's a viable, future. Again, keep in mind, not in the context of saving the planet, but in the context of propagating an economic industry that does not need to base itself in reality almost at all in order to move financial power from one place to another, similar to the military-industrial complex, where military action is sort of conjured behind the scenes and then justified in front of the people. We're kind of seeing with the climate alarmism thing, movement behind the scenes, moving the money into place and having it justified to the public. But I think this story has a great little gimme that gives away a bit of it.
Yeah. And it's interesting how it's shifting. Science really was, or it has been, the pillar of truth for so long. And then as it's gotten institutionalized and you get bigger and bigger money, it's almost like it's inevitable to corruption. But okay, so here we go. Popsci, would a massive shade between Earth and the sun help slow climate change? It says here, some of the most exotic solutions to climate change are the various forms of geoengineering. It's crazy. This was like a wild, crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy topic, but now just all mainstream picks it up. Geoengineering, the word. Such proposals aim to reduce global warming by shrinking the amount of solar radiation that reaches Earth's surface by, say, injecting large amounts of sulfur dioxide or dust into the air to mimic the cooling effect of large volcanic eruptions, or building catapults to launch lunar dust into orbit around Earth and intercept the sun's rays in the space near our planet. But University of Hawaii cosmologist.
Cosmologist?
Yes.
Oh, he's a cosmologist.
Yeah.
Great. So he's not really even he's not a hard scientist. Well, he's just sort of, it's like a philosophical position, is it not?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
well,
you're right. Cosmology
is,
it's sort of the bridge between philosophy and science, I suppose.
Yeah, but, it's not even like a hard science position, but okay.
Yeah, University of Hawaii, I am assuming it's on Oahu, so I think they're okay from the fire, but interesting just in general to be highlighting a University of Hawaii
Hawaiian guy, cosmologist. By the way, just to have this in the back of our mind as we listen to this, the guy whose idea this is, he's a cosmologist. Cosmology is the science of the origin and development of the universe. Modern astronomy is dominated by the Big Bang Theory, which brings together blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it's the study of the origin of the universe. This is the guy who has a big plan to save us from climate change.
They're storytellers, Basil. They're storytellers. What's his name? His name is Istvan Zapudi.
Sure.
Istvan Zapudi has an even more far-out idea. Place a 372,000-mile wide shade tethered to a captured asteroid between Earth and the sun to reduce the amount of solar radiation reaching our planet by 1.7%. His analysis is agnostic to the shade's shape, though he imagines it could be a circular shade made of triangular segments. What is this, a giant world coin? What are we talking about? Or the orb, the humongous orb, able to open or close like flower petals to allow variable amounts of sunlight through. Quote, it's not going to cast a sharp shadow, Zapudi said. Quote, maybe with a telescope you can notice that there is something in front of the sun, but other than that, it would just be that people would notice that the weather is a little bit better, end quote. He readily admits that this concept would require millions of dollars investment in just preliminary engineering studies to see if it's really possible. Okay, so we got some numbers now. He's laying out some numbers, millions of dollars of investment. Quote, of course, it's unrealistic to actually do this, so hopefully we will slowly give up fossil fuels, Zapudi said. citing a more mainstream goal to curb a source of climate change.
He is not the only guy to say this.
Yeah, this is a pattern.
This is a pattern. It's like part of the industry for this climate alarmism is, and he's like maybe the fourth guy we've reported with the exact same plan. The plan, make an umbrella in space.
Or something.
Some people want to use bubbles. There's the bubble one where you blow up gigantic bubbles in space, block the sun. Then there was the guy with the mirror, the folding mirror that will be between us and the sun. And then there's this guy with a parachute attached to an asteroid, apparently. And all of them say, I came up with this very cool idea, but it's going to be expensive, so stop using fossil fuels.
Well, even
they get so much attention. They get the attention that Judith Curry is talking about.
Right, yeah.
All they have to do is throw out a stupid idea that's not even new. Guys have come up with the idea before, and then they get in the press, they get some money, they get to meet Obama simply for just reprinting the same idea another guy did. It's crazy.
I think we should use your anonymity to our advantage, and you just come out, you're a scientist coming to the public with a new idea, and we can just deploy just put out the ideas, just come up with whatever crazy idea. It's got to be bigger than this.
I have a brand new idea, Gons. A Gons that nobody's ever thought of.
Okay, great.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna block the sun with a giant pizza. It's gonna be a pizza. Now, why pizza, you might ask? Well, because we might as well put all that sun to use and cook a delicious pepperoni pizza that will block the sun.
Feed the earth for 3,000 years.
That's right. And here's the problem, Gons. That's an expensive pizza, so this isn't realistic, and everybody just needs to stop using fossil fuels. Money, please.
Well, even the last episode where we talked about the article that went missing from Vox that you were talking about, and then the paradox of how, the
air pollution is saving the earth.
We're cleaning the air, but it's making the earth hotter. Better stop the fossil. It's exact same pattern. Very interesting. I like it when we identify stuff like this because it wouldn't happen unless we sit and read all these
It's
articles.
over and over and over. And the fact that it's so well timed with the fires in Hawaii, of course, they get the Hawaiian guy to do it. I forgot what I was just Googling. I was Googling something because I thought it would be important, and I got totally distracted.
Largest pizza. How much dough would it take to create a 372,000 mile diameter pizza?
I think Mr. Beast has the record for largest pizza. I found this
there you go. The Beast.
Wall Street Journal from July 30th, so pretty recently. Headline in the Wall Street Journal: climate change obsession is a real mental disorder. Great. So
wait,
not
are
only
we
are these guys,
it
explains.
Yeah.
No. It explains why these guys are having the exact same idea over and over and over and getting a bunch of credit for it. It's because it's a mental disorder. And in this day and age, Gons, in 2023, having a mental disorder is like something to be praised for. You get money if you have a mental disorder. So
just real quick, let's not too much deeper into the story, but just to mention here, Zapudi talks about his proposal a little bit more. He published a paper on it on July 31st in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. And basically the idea is that they would place a massive sunshade at the Sun-Earth Lagrange point. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
L1, yeah. This is
the point at which I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it is the point at which the light from the Earth is at its narrowest refractory point or something. It's like the best place to block the sun is what it is. It's like halfway between here and the sun, I believe.
Sure. It's interesting. They lay out a little bit how much it would weigh. It would be 350 million tons. And then he brings up SpaceX because, of course, he's got to poke Elon to see if he can get a reaction from Elon saying that, hey, SpaceX can bring up about 35 K tons up there. So, we can make this happen. And then it says, engineering-wise, the whole idea is extremely speculative, Zapudi emphasizes, relying on technology that is not yet developed, such as materials strong and light enough to serve as the tethers. But it's also not clear if geoengineering of this sort would actually help mitigate the effects of climate change, or do so without introducing other unpredictable and negative consequences, according to Rutgers University climatologist Alan Robock. Robock leads the Rutgers Geoengineering Model Intercomparison Project, which uses climate change models to predict the effects of geoengineering interventions. I'm just wondering how long this guy's been at it. I mean, if he's looked at past climate or geoengineering efforts that clearly have been going on in the United States. Quote, what if you start doing it and you say, okay, we figured out about 90% of the world is going to be better off, but 10%, okay, whatever, roadblock. Okay. At the end here, as an insurance policy, it'd have one expensive premium. Quote, if technology develops the way I hope it would, this is Zapudi speaking, maybe this is $1 trillion project. Quote, you need at least an army of engineers, probably tens of millions of dollars, just to explore the concept to enough detail, end quote. So this guy really taking the opportunity, throwing out numbers, saying, hey, a few 100 million, maybe tens of millions. Hey, we can turn this into $1 trillion project.
Right. Well, and it's honestly not that wild to think that at some point in the near future, the countries of the world, led by the U.S., would commit $1 trillion to making a parachute and attaching it to an asteroid. I mean, we are full steam ahead, heading towards $1 trillion just to send to Ukraine.
Yeah, part of the flat earth thing, into the introduction of flat earth, and I'm not arguing about whether the earth is actually flat or not. I'm talking about the conversation that really infiltrated the truth community in the 2014, 2015 time period. Seems like it was planted in order to create all kinds of not just content, but division and debate and all that kind of stuff when they start doing stuff in space, any kind of building in space and publicly funding stuff built in space. But I will just mention that there is sort of if they start building a giant screen or blimp or whatever it is to block the sun, there is still biblical or eschatological precedent in some way. If you want to go to Revelation chapter 6, verse 14, it talks about the sky vanishing like a scroll that is being rolled up. And that's right when the judgment begins. The day of the Lord's wrath begins is right after that sixth seal there. And part of it involves the sky vanishing like a scroll. If there's a giant film-like thing in the sky and Armageddon is about to take place, I can see that thing coming down. And it would kind of look like a giant scroll going down.
That makes a lot of sense. And you know what? There's some justified critics out in the world that would say, hey, careful when you're reading scripture, try not to be too literal. Well, there's just been so many pieces of the book of Revelation that turned out to be way more literal than people ever thought they would be.
Yeah. Uncomfortably. And I always go back to Obadiah too. Just, I don't know. I like Obadiah. It's only a 1-chapter book, but basically, mentions how there will be some who are going to be soaring like the eagles, but God is going to bring them down. And it's
to follow up with a story from last episode, and I think it fits to round out our conversation about the climate alarmist industrial complex. I'm seeing right now, being reported an hour ago, that there is a recycling plant on fire in Brockton, Massachusetts. So we had the plastics factory pumping chemicals into the air that we learned apparently is good for global warming, global cooling now, blocking all the sun's rays with the chemicals in the air. And now the eco-terrorists are at it again, saving the world by setting this recycling plant on fire, which, most of the recycling material is probably going to be more plastics. So I think somebody has a pretty good idea about maybe the idea is to burn all the plastics so that the particulates go up into the air, laser, and it does create sort of a plastic shell around the Earth, saving us all from, fossil fuel created climate change. Who knows? But somebody's got an idea here that we need to burn all of our plastics.
What if the lizard leaders are like, hey, Jesus is coming, we got to stop him somehow, and then
create the barrier, the plastic barrier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gon, speaking of barrier, it is Friday, which is the barrier to the weekend.
Is it Friday? Oh, it is Friday. Oh my gosh, I prepared for. I initially prepared for it being Wednesday. That's how it's going recently.
Yeah, we need to get more sleep around here.
It's Friday.
Keep playing with the Friday thing.
You gonna learn today?
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Are you not entertained?
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Yep, it's Friday, folks. Thanks for making it another week with us here at Canary Cry News Talk. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. Do you got anything exciting going on? Any updates in Gon's world?
Other than continuing to struggle with the babysitter nanny situation, there is progress, but it is challenging. Other than that,
it's good progress, though. We've made some progress.
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah. Yesterday, took the little ones to the beach, and man, the ocean. Hard to. You asked me, Basil, what's keeping me in California recently? I would have to say being able to go to the ocean is one of those things.
A question that many listeners are also wondering.
I know.
Yeah, being able to go to the ocean. How many times do you think you go to the ocean on a regular year?
Probably 10 sometimes.
Twice?
No.
2,
more
3
than twice.
times?
Definitely more than twice.
Okay. Well, even 10. You can go to the ocean 10 times. You can live in New Mexico and go to the ocean 10 times.
Here's why I might be going more often now. I realize the water coming in and out on the shore there is free entertainment for the children. For the 2 and the 6-year-old, man, I just gotta sit there on the sand. I contemplate, the shape of the earth and the sky.
Yeah,
I'm doing all that. I'm somewhere else, and the kids are just there, and they're just running back and forth, being chased by waves and throwing rocks into the wave. That was
but better than an iPad. Waves going in and out at the beach will keep them occupied way better than an iPad.
Yeah, so
that's funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I just have to say, and I'm nothing against lake people. I just never really got the lake thing.
Here we go. Or
I had bad experiences on lakes. So I stick to
you're the swimmer of the family here, so you would know.
Yeah.
I just have a horse trough that I fill up from the well and do cold plunges every day. Nice. That is the absolute limit to my body of water interactions.
What's the temperature there of the water? Are you measuring the temp?
Yeah, I don't have a proper thermometer, but I had one of those laser gun thermometer things. And it was at 48 this morning, which is pretty cold. Yeah, pretty good. It's cold. I am cold when I am in there.
Yeah.
But I don't know how exact my thermometer is. I got to get a better one. But yeah, there you go. Spend a couple minutes freezing my googly eyes off every morning. Feeling good.
I think it sticks more.
Yeah. My eyes are kind of falling off today, I will say. Okay. Well, with that, I think it's time to thank some executive producers, Gons.
Let's do it.
Executive producers.
Yep, we're on the value for value model, folks. You know this. We take no money from corporations, cartels, or commies, no advertisements, no outside interests getting involved in the show here, and that's just the way that we like it. You can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure, but the executive producers, they're so generous. They're so caring. They come in, they support an individual episode with $100 or more, and that's why we thank them here at the top. So I'm going to start out by thanking our one executive producer who actually came in with the snail mail. The snail mail. So we don't know exactly when this came, but they're getting the credit for it now. So let's see here. Let's all stand and give a rousing round of applause for executive producer Anonymous from the Palmetto State.
Yes, Anonymous. Thank you very much for the snail mail.
Snail mail.
Did you look up what state is the Palmetto State?
No, I didn't. I actually thought about it. Yeah.
Why don't you look that up while I read the note?
You're going to
here.
read the note. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
They came in with a nice round number, which means we won't disclose it, but thank you very much, Anonymous from the Palmetto State. They have a note that says, Dear Basil and Gons, we love your show. Continue to share it, but now is the time for us to give some treasure. Like so many, we are struggling with bills, but maybe a one-time donation may come in handy, especially if you need childcare. Blessings to you, and thanks for all. Thanks for all. Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, it came in a handwritten note, so I had to do my handwriting decoding there, but we really appreciate it. Yes. Yeah, that's the thing about the value for value model is I would say it's almost a point of solidarity. You know, other podcasts, if the economy is down, they're still getting paid by corporations to sell your attention and your trust and your time. You know, those podcasters, they're doing pretty good, even if the economy isn't. Value for value, direct correlation with how people are doing at home. So you can know that Gons and I, we are standing in solidarity with y'all with how things are, and we totally understand how the times are nowadays. And that's why it makes it even more valuable for executive producers like Anonymous from the Palmetto State, which
Where'd
is...
you find this?
Go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to say, which is what state?
Texas.
Where'd you find this?
And actually, one of the first results is Palmetto State Armory. A lot of weapons.
Really?
Looking at a lot of guns. And
Palmetto State is Texas.
Apparently, that's what I'm looking at here.
No, I think you're wrong.
I could be.
Texas is the Lone Star State. The Palmetto State is South Carolina.
Oh, what am I looking at then?
I don't know. Whatever search service you're using.
I probably...
Did you ask
I found
ChatGPT
Palmetto. No, I didn't.
something?
No. It was a search. I put Palmetto State, and I think it pulled up Palmetto State Park in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yes, the Palmetto State, South Carolina. Thank you very much, South Carolina. We got a bunch of great producers over there.
Let me do that again then. South Carolina.
Where'd you find this?
I'd be bothered later.
The feeling, I know the exact feeling that Anonymous would have felt the second you're like, yes, I searched it. The Palmetto State is Texas. Like, what? Come on. I finally executive produced a show and you get the state wrong. Don't worry. We got it right, folks.
We got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
We fixed it.
Yes, so that is our one and only executive producer for today's show. Thank you very much. I believe, actually, that we did have a new producer who signed up for something. I think, oh, no. No, we didn't. Okay, that's it. Yes, we can move on. Okay. Should we just do all the financial producers right now? There's very few.
If you want, sure.
And there's no notes. So if we just get it done now, then we can just zoom through it and we don't have to pile them on later.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's thank all the producers.
All right. I will, yes. And you too can become a financial producer by going to canarycry.support. It's just about what value does the show bring to your life. You can put that value back in because the fact of the matter is there's no corporation. Nobody is going to keep the show alive without the participation of the producers, which is kind of it seems like more of the natural order of the world. The natural order is if you bring value to somebody's life, they can put value back in, and the show can exist. It seems like a system as old as the earth itself. It is this, oh, nobody likes this show. What? I mean, the only people who like the show are corporations who are keeping it alive. Nobody's getting value from it. It's sort of a zombie, necro-capitalist monster when things are kept alive strictly for the benefit of elites and corporations. But not here. We're only alive because people get value from the show. And a good example of those people are these people. Mm-hmm. Starting with producer Erica E.
Erica E, thank you very much.
Yeah, Erica E came in with a nice round number, but a monthly commitment, monthly donation. So thank you very much for that, Erica E. It's those monthly producerships that make it so we don't, panic every single day of the month. So we really appreciate those monthly sign-ups. Yeah. Next up, we've got producer Kim W.
Kim W, thank you.
Producer Kim W came in for 1111.
1111. Thank you very much.
I hope we don't have too much of a lag going on right now. It's kind of feeling laggy to me, but we'll keep going. Thank you very much, Kim W with 1111. Next up, we got producer Malik W. Is back, baby.
All right.
Yeah, he's back with a nice round number. 5 episodes in a row. He's on a streak.
There you go. Malik W, thank you.
We got producer Aaron M. Producer Aaron M. Coming in. $10.10 per month. Another monthly. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Yes, appreciate that.
1010.
1010. Yep. We have 1001, but we don't have 1010. Are you waiting for the 1010 jingle that doesn't exist?
I'm not waiting for anything. No. That's what I was waiting for. Next up, we got Sir Alex Protocol, V2 Night of the Brain Protocol, pocket full of 7s. And Sir Alex Protocol is on a 202 episode streak.
202.
Oh yeah. Streakalicious.
All right, yeah.
Streakalicious. Mm-hmm. And that concludes our list of financial producers who came in under the amount of $7.77, which entitles them to have a note read on the show, an entitlement that none of them took advantage of. And I'll thank them right now, starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 331 in a row.
Hey, thank you, Sir Casey. Almost at that 333.
We got Veronica D, 292 in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 321 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott. I think we are lagging.
And you've located that 322 jingle for next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we got Dame Gale, Canary, Whisperer of Ladies and Lady of X's and O's, 290 in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots, 264 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Moore. Now,
there we go.
Was there a 316 that we owed somebody, or not?
I think we owed. I think we owed Sir Scott Knight of Truth. He would have been the most recent one.
Mission 316.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Sir Scott. Okay, folks, we're only alive because of these financial producers. We appreciate it so much. And think about it. Take a moment. Reflect upon the value that this show has brought to your life. Maybe you're new. Maybe you don't get any value. Maybe you've been listening for 10 years and you still don't get any value. But if you get value at all, you can produce with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Go to canarycry.support to learn more. And I just got reminded that we have Sir Marty. Oh, no, we have Marty B has a mail train bumper for our snail mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mail train bumper.
Oh, okay. Well, I might be able to look that up. Hold on.
Got it. We might as well. We got to do that. We have a snail mail executive producer. We got to play the jingle.
Yeah. Got to pull it up. Marty B. Hopefully it's labeled.
Oh, yes. Well, this is the thing.
There it is. Mail train.
Like we need.
You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I think the lag is bad, but here it is.
train. Mail train.
I think if you're new to the show and you didn't know what the mail train was, you might have the wrong idea with that one.
I love it. Keep that one around. Put a little star next to that one because we know for a fact there's some mail coming to me, and we're gonna need to play it. Okay, there you go. That's enough of all this. Thank you very much for producing the show. Go to canarycry.support. And with that, Gons, I think it is time we continue with the show.
Canarycry.support.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
All right, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. Wake up! Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world. Now there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is Flippy proper. You know Flippy. He's a disembodied robotic arm. Sometimes Flippy appears connected to other robots, but sometimes Flippy is simply his own self. Sometimes he's flipping burgers. Sometimes he's manufacturing doodads. Sometimes Flippy's in space. And here we are hearing back from Space Flippy. This is coming from Gizmodo.com. Russian cosmonaut rides, you heard me, rides new robotic arm outside ISS for the first time.
Russia.
I'm the Russian space cowboy. I ride a robotic arm high above the firmament.
It's not going to be good until Putin does it shirtless.
Why is there so much plastic floating around up here? It's like whole Earth wrapped in saran wrap. At the end of a nearly 7-hour spacewalk outside the International Space Station, ISS, a Russian cosmonaut got to strap onto a giant 37-foot-long robotic arm attached to the orbiting lab for its first test drive in space. Now, we know here, if you're a fan of the Flippy update, which of course we all are, you know exactly what this 37-foot robotic arm is called. And yes, it is Canadarm2. I don't know if they mention that in the thing or not. Maybe they do. But we know this. Canadarm2, the biggest, baddest contribution that Canada has ever made to the entertainment complex that is the space industry. Thank you very much, Canada, for helping and for bringing so much joy to all of us flippy heads around here. But I don't know what these Russians are doing, disrespecting Canadarm2. Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Prokofiev and Dmitry Petelin stepped outside the space station on Wednesday at 10:44 a.m. What were you doing at 10:44 a.m.? Because the Russians were riding a robotic arm. Eastern time for a scheduled spacewalk that lasted for 6 hours and 35 minutes. That is so long. That is such a long time to be trapped in a suit, sort of just floating around. It's actually, honestly, probably feels a lot like doing this show in a VR headset. You're just trapped. You're tethered to your lifeline, and when you get out of the suit, you kind of need to go hug some dirt or something for a while. After completing the assembly and maintenance work to the ISS, Prokofiev tested the European robotic arm. No.
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe it. This can't be the European robotic arm. They made an arm the exact same size as Canadarm2. I'm questioning this reporting. As a way for astronauts to safely move across the outside of the space station during their spacewalks. Prokofiev rode at the end of a massive robot arm while another cosmonaut, Andrei Fediev, controlled ERA from inside the Nauka module at a slow and steady pace. Wednesday's spacewalk was Prokofiev's 8th spacewalk to date, but presumably a rather memorable one as he became the first to ride the robot arm. NASA uses the Canada arm. There it is. NASA uses the Canada arm in a similar manner when transporting astronauts during spacewalk. ERA launched to space.
Wait, hold on. Stop. Does this mean NASA? Okay.
No, you hold on.
All right.
No, okay,
Fine.
I'll hold on.
I was just wondering if it means that NASA people ride Canadarm, and we haven't heard about it.
It looks like that's a good question. Okay, so I was mistaken. First of all, I think there's some errors in this reporting because Canadarm is the 37-foot long one. I believe ERA is much shorter than that, but that's okay. We don't need to.
You probably got the metrics because 37 feet is about 11 meters. So maybe that's why you know.
No, there's nothing that's 37 meters out there. That's insane.
Right.
But so we did do some reporting on ERA, and for those who don't remember, ERA is the European robotic arm. ERA, get it? Ooh. And it was specifically being attached by the Russians. Now, our broad theory with FLIPPY in space is that it gives some hints, some messaging internationally. It's like a international messaging type of thing, as we've seen, similar to Antarctica. And the fact that the Russians have been so involved with the ERA had some interesting messaging in the way of, the Ukraine conflict, Europe's dependence on Russia at the same time as this, sort of debatable military offensive, what it means geopolitically, who is it actually benefiting, and how specifically the EU and Brussels feel about the whole thing. If the U.S. was not forcing everybody's hand, what would be the relationship between Russia and Europe? Well, I think the Russians are sending a pretty strong message here, Gons. They're going to take the European robotic arm for a ride. I think this cues some sort of big news to come.
Geopolitical news. This
geopolitical
foreshadows geopolitical movement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It may be something like, Europe helping out Russia in a way. Who knows? It
First
could
of all,
be.
Your eyeball is really falling off. That left one.
I got to get more tape. That was
starting to see inside.
Not important enough a reason to interrupt my theory.
Well, here's the other thing. If you keep reading, they kind of talk about that a little bit, the Russia and the Ukraine situation. So,
well, do they? Yeah. ERA launched into space. We already know this. The robotic arm is designed to resemble a human arm. Whoa, complete with two hands. It moves in a distinctive manner, mimicking the movement of an inchworm. To advance, it shifts one hand in front of the other, methodically moving back and forth. It has the ability to carry up to 17,600 pounds, transferring payloads as they arrive in the ISS, helping out the spacewalks and even moving astronauts themselves while they are tethered to the outside of the station. The important tool has been at the center of a heated political tensions between Russia's space agency and its European counterparts following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In July 2022, Russia threatened to withhold its access to ERA, which is attached to Russian orbital segment of the space station, and have its cosmonauts discontinue working on the installation. Luckily, the giant robot arm was unbothered by the space drama and continues to thrive in low
look
orbit.
At that. The robot arm is immune to human conflict. It just moves forward and
FLIPPY.
Yeah.
The robots will march forward to their inevitable rulership over humans, no matter the internet. I think we've cracked the code, and one day I too hope to ride the robotic arm FLIPPY, my good friend, through the void of space. Hopefully not bonk head on a firmament up there, yes?
I was seeing the numbers on our live stream on YouTube and Rumble and stuff. It was a little bit lower, and it did that thing. It throttled at the beginning. And I was wondering if the title of the episode, Robot Riding Russian, was too provocative or something.
It's a little too provocative.
It triggered some algos like, what Russians? And what are they riding?
honestly, yeah, just because we have the word Russia in there, we're probably getting shadow banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right, there's your Flippy update for the day, everybody.
Well, real quick, I just want to tag on. This isn't an official story, but just because we're talking about Russia and space, the New York Post published this morning, a rocket with a lunar landing craft blasts off on Russia's first moon mission in nearly 50 years.
Yes.
Yeah, so now Russia's going back to the moon and maybe build some arms up there or ride some arms on the moon.
Something to show supremacy in one way or another.
Now that would be a thing. If everybody on Earth can look up at the moon and there's a big old Russian robot arm just waving back, you know?
We need to, that is part of the technocratic utopian promise, is that there will be no human wars. All wars will be settled, like on Robot Jocks, the best giant robot movie ever. Every international dispute will be settled with giant robots on the moon, and far away from any chance of human casualties. And it's just a matter of time, folks. We're closer than you think. Thanks, Flippy.
Yep. Thank you, Flippy. Let us move on.
It will kill. A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a money-making industry, okay?
Unindicted co-conspirators.
All right, we got something, the story that people are talking about with all kinds of different theories, and man, it's just it's another one of those topics that's really grabbing everyone's attention. This is from CNN Politics. Utah man killed by FBI agent after he allegedly made threats against Biden ahead of president's visit.
Yes.
Yeah, and just real briefly, we don't have to get into every detail because I think there's a second. You have that Guardian one. Should I just read the Guardian one? You said there were details.
No, there's read CNN because we need. This is the one everybody's getting.
Sure. FBI special agents shot and killed a Utah man Wednesday while attempting to arrest him for allegedly making threats against President Joe Biden ahead of the president's trip to the state. FBI SWAT agents were giving commands to the man when he pointed a gun at them, according to a law enforcement source familiar with the incident. The man, Craig Robertson, was facing 3 federal charges, including threats against the president, as well as influencing, impeding, and retaliating against federal law enforcement officers by threat. Investigators noted that Robertson appears to own a, quote, sniper rifle and several other firearms. Some of the threats happened just ahead of Biden's planned trip to Utah on Wednesday evening. Quote, all caps, I hear Biden is coming to Utah, one threat read. I don't know if that's a threat by itself, according to the prosecutors. Quote, digging out my old ghillie suit and ghillie?
Yep.
Ghillie suit and cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle. Welcome, buffoon in chief. All caps. End quote.
Got him.
Yep. Robertson also posted online threats in recent months against other Democratic politicians and prosecutors who have brought cases against former President Donald Trump. The case comes amid heightened vitriol aimed at national and local leaders in the lead up to the 2024 election and what FBI Director Christopher Wray has called an, quote, unprecedented level of threats against FBI agents.
They're doing the old FBI victimhood maneuver here.
Yeah, I got to talk to my there's an FBI guy that I know. I haven't talked to him in a while. Maybe I can.
Your handler.
Yeah, my handler. In a post on Monday, Robertson said, quote, hey, FBI, you still monitoring my social media? Checking so I can be sure to have a loaded gun handy in case you drop by again, end quote. Biden was briefed on the matter Wednesday in New Mexico, where he delivered remarks on manufacturing before his scheduled travel to Salt Lake City. Quote, the FBI is reviewing an agent-involved shooting which occurred around 6:15 a.m. on Wednesday, August 9th in Provo, Utah. The incident began when special agents attempted to serve arrest and search warrants at the residence. The subject is deceased, end quote, an FBI spokesperson said in a statement to CNN. The spokesperson continued, quote, the FBI takes all shooting incidents involving our agents or task force members seriously. Did they have to say that? mean, isn't that kind of expected? In accordance with FBI policy, the shooting incident is under review by the FBI's inspection division, end quote.
Yeah.
The U.S.
Now,
yeah?
You can finish this out.
Yeah, this one here.
It kind of gets into the weeds a little bit, but
yeah, the U.S. Secret Service, which is responsible for protection of high-level government officials, including Biden, referred questions to the Bureau. Quote, the Secret Service is aware of the FBI investigation involving an individual in Utah who has exhibited threats to a Secret Service protectee.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, this was kind of all over the place. And there's, as usual, a lot of details that are not necessarily making it into the Reader's Digest versions on CNN.
They went straight to, what was the second sentence of the article? FBI SWAT agents were giving commands to the man. Whoa, okay, and it happened at 6:15 in the morning. Okay, like
of course they were giving commands, right?
Yeah.
There's a number of things. There's a number of. I'll just say what the conversation is. There's lots of conversations going on here now. What the guy was saying on the internet was a bad thing to do. It was just not smart.
You're just asking for it.
Yeah, but there was a couple other articles. Man, I read so many about this, and there was a lot of conversation around who this guy actually was and if this response was really warranted at all. Now, of course, making threats to the president, that is technically illegal, with, some subtlety and nuance attached to that statement. But, a lot of people are pointing out that, high-level celebrities were threatening to kill Donald Trump the whole time, threatening to blow him up and shoot him and punch him. And, of course, the Kathy Griffith, showing his decapitated head, all this kind of crazy stuff that was completely unanswered with Trump. So the sort of whataboutism conversation is going on. And certainly, as is the way, the rules are different when Biden is in office here. But this guy was 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jump over to The Guardian here because it gives a little bit more details about the guy. Yeah. A clearer picture is emerging of the 75-year-old Utah man shot dead by the FBI after they tried to serve a search warrant hours before Joe blah, blah, blah. But questions are also being asked as to whether Craig Robertson was a, quote, credible threat, as the FBI claims, or as neighbors in Provo, Utah have described to local media as a man harboring anti-government views who walked with a cane and liked to bluster and tell big stories, especially on social media. Mm-hmm. So this guy, he's 300 pounds. He's 75 years old. He has to walk with a cane.
He's known in the community.
Known in a community. He's a very, he's not some mysterious stranger that nobody knows. He's very, popular. Everybody, people are calling him a teddy bear. There's this whole thing. And of course, when a liberal reads, when a coastal elite liberal person reads that this guy had 20 guns, that freaks him out. It makes him seem like some sort of lunatic. Where if you live in Utah or someplace like Utah, you're kind of like, yeah, cool, nice collection. What happened to the other ones? Only 20.
Only 20, yeah.
Yeah. But of course, you combine all these threats that he made, and some of them they're obviously fantasies. This man was posting almost like dream-like fantasies about how, one of them was, I want to stand over Bragg, talking about, I think it's Alvin Bragg, New York guy who's in charge of bringing all the cases to Trump. I want to stand over Bragg and put a nice hole in his forehead with my 9mm and watch him twitch as a drop of blood oozes from the hole as his life ebbs away to hell. It's like, whoa, bro. Okay. Yeah, okay. This is sort of a man fantasizing. He lives alone. He's 300 pounds, 75 years old, walks with a cane. actually, one part of the story that is not mentioned is that the FBI had visited him before.
Which would prompt him to say, like, hey, if you come back again, or whatever that quote was. I do want to mention, maybe you were getting to this, Basil, in The Guardian. They kind of talked to some neighbors about the whole event. Right. And they quote Nyla Rollins, another neighbor, estimated that 50 agents were involved. 50 agents showing up to a guy's house who can't even walk without a cane.
Yeah, that's a witness. Weird. That's a witness thing. But the question is, what did exactly happen? Did they go there with the plan to kill him? Were they, he's threatening the FBI agents on the line. There's a question of, okay, what's going on? Are they kind of getting revenge? Are they trying to show him who's boss? What's the plan here? And there's a longer conversation going on about how exactly the FBI made contact with this warrant, because there's a couple ways they do it. We have the TV way, where we imagine, a SWAT team shows up, they kick down the door, they throw in a flashbang, they rush into the house and tackle the guy and take care of business. This is, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe this is called it's forced entry is what it is. So it's a forced entry sort of warrant. And there was some analysis about this that the FBI actually doesn't do this very often anymore because of a lot of reasons. In recent years, a lot of SWAT teams busting in. There's this sort of what's the word? It just escalates the situation kind of unnecessarily in a lot of ways if you're just serving a warrant, because if you bust into somebody's house in the middle of the night, you bang on the door, you throw a grenade, that's very scary. And somebody wakes up with flashbangs going on and people yelling in their house, their first instinct is going to be to grab a gun and defend their home. You're waking up, you're groggy, you're panicked, adrenaline's going, you're not hearing FBI, you're not realizing what's going on, and that almost inevitably ends in violence. Now, they've started doing what's called surround and surrender as sort of the protocol for things like this, with the exception of gang raids. Very specifically, they say with a gang raid, they'll force entry because the assumption is that it's going to get nasty. But with everything else, they do surround and surrender, which means they surround the house, they turn on the bullhorn, they start screaming at the guy, trying to wake him up without putting agents' lives at risk, without the liability of wrongfully shooting somebody, without all this. So this idea of forced entry for a non-gang related thing is actually kind of out of fashion nowadays. But that's kind of, those are the details that we're not getting with this situation. We get no details about the kind of strategy they were using.
Yeah, and just to touch on that real quick, the FBI guy I talked to, this was a while ago, and I've brought it up on the show before, but because I was talking about robots with him, and he was all pro, not necessarily in support of it, but he was saying that we use robots in SWAT situations. It's way safer. And so I'm curious, why didn't they send the robots in, or did they get all beat? Did she get shot down? I mean,
very specifically, the robot thing is part of surround and surrender. That's not forced entry. That's a surround and surrender tactic. Right. They'll send in the robot.
Right.
But the question is, what happened here? The guy is 300 pounds, 75 years old, walks with a cane. Did they use a forced entry? They know the guy has guns. Yeah. Did they throw in a flashbang? Witnesses say they saw a grenade go off and yelling and stuff like this. The sort of, philosophy of this whole thing is, if they are doing a forced entry, they are wanting to kill the person. Yeah. That is kind of the plan. They want to shoot the guy because there's no reason to do it. Why not do a surround and surrender with this guy and have him hobble out on his cane and take care of business? A lot of people are thinking, this is sort of a politically motivated. Well, a lot of people are saying online that this was some sort of politically motivated like assassination to send a message to people.
Well, I mean, Trump said it.
They love killing.
They love killing, man. They
right.
They can't help themselves.
Right. And so, why did it go this way? Why were things handled in this way? Honestly, with the amount of people who are giving possibly credible threats to the president online, why this guy?
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of my reaction, was that, threats happen every day. What's the history? Clearly he's been visited before. And the robot thing, that's what really came to my mind. Like, what happened to the robots? Like, how come it got to the point where they're facing off and shooting each other so quick, if it was supposed to be one of these, not what did you call it? Direct entry or forced entry or something?
Yeah, forced entry.
If it's not that, then what happened?
Yeah, and who knows? The problem is they just haven't. They're not releasing any details. There's no body cam. There's I have not been able to find a statement from the FBI that gives kind of a rundown of what exactly happened. Who knows? Maybe they did a surround and surrender, and he came out onto the porch and, aimed a gun and did the whole thing.
He did the Willy Wonka thing where you think he's with, he's got some struggle walking, and then he does like a somersault.
The somersault, and then he flip and
busts out like a huge cannon, and they're like, take him out.
Neo-style dual Berettas floating through the air. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. You never know. But this is getting a lot of attention, and the timing of the whole thing is pretty unfortunate. But let's see here. This article, The Guardian, ends with this fellow Robinson, who was a neighbor who kind of saw a bunch of it. He says, I'm just hoping that the FBI has some more evidence besides Facebook posts to want to raid his house like they did. Because, I mean, there were neighbors standing all around. Everybody was watching it. So
see it. Yeah.
There's a lot of comments to be made. But it is, it is weird that with the peace-loving Democrats in charge, a lot more of this stuff is happening.
Well, maybe there's a pattern, because everything is a pattern. It seems to just resurface over and over again.
Okay. Let's talk about COVID real quick. COVID-19! 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 COVID-19!
COVID-19!
COVID-19. 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 Coronavirus.
Vaccine. Number one way.
A pandemic special.
It's called the Omicron.
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 Wall Street
Tell
Journal.
me about Omicron.
Yeah. Wall Street Journal. A new Omicron subvariant. Omicron, right? Yes, Omicron. Dubbed ERIS. Heralds COVID-19's resurgence. Oh, it's back. Part 2, baby. Woo!
Yeah. We've been seeing this kind of build for about a month here during this summer. Oh, summer COVID numbers. Oh, summer COVID numbers. They're going up. They're going up. They're going up.
I have the paywalled version here, but I got around it. Don't count COVID-19 out just yet. There's still hope. Hopium for the lizard people. COVID-19 infections are rising in the U.S. ahead of the autumn months when respiratory illnesses typically surge as another offshoot of the Omicron variant gains momentum. The continued evolution of the virus is a reminder that COVID-19 remains a nuisance for many and a serious risk for some, even though the disease is far less disruptive than it once was. A rising tide
government certainly is less disruptive than it once was in regards to COVID.
A rising tide of virus concentrations in wastewater.
Yep.
And infections in hospitals shows that COVID-19 remains unpredictable. I like how sewer surveillance is just part of the fabric, the foundation of the arguments for the resurgence of COVID.
Just an everyday thing now.
A new subvariant called EG5 is a descendant of another called XBB192 and has been reported in at least 51 countries since August 7th, according to the World Health Organization, which classified the EG5 as a variant of interest this week.
Ooh.
Yay, variant of interest. There's a chart here. People in the U.S. hospitalized with COVID. It's a huge slope down from January 2023 to July, where it hit bottom. And it looks like we're arcing back up.
Yeah.
So be afraid, everybody. Some scientists on X, formerly known as Twitter, have unofficially dubbed it ERIS. Oh, it's unofficially.
ERIS.
Like the Omicron subvariant, EG5 has immune escape properties, but there are no signs it is more severe, the WHO said.
Yeah, by the way, immune escape properties means nobody's vaccines are doing anything. It's nobody's boosters are working, nobody's vaccines are working. You're going to get it. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Quote, what we're really seeing is anecdotal infections in your friends and coworkers that look like colds, said Dr. Shira Doran, Chief Infection Control Officer for Tufts Medicine in Boston. EG5 is projected to represent roughly 17% of cases in the U.S. as of August 5th, making it the most prevalent version of the virus in the U.S., according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Yeah. So this name ERIS, I had no idea what this was, but of course we've made a practice at, keeping track of the names being used. Omicron, the big scary Greek letter. So we've pretty much decided that Omicron was the scariest sounding Greek letter. So, none of the other Greek letters besides sigma or G would make any sense. And of course they're not going to do G.
Yeah, too obvious.
Yeah, so I was like, what is ERIS? Is that a Greek letter? What is that? Well, actually, it's even better than that, Gons. ERIS on Wikipedia here. ERIS is the Greek goddess of strife and discord.
Oh, you don't say.
Yes, ERIS is. Yeah. Let's see here. That's basically it. ERIS is of uncertain etymology. Okay, don't care about that. Of course, we've got the Roman equivalent Discordia, which means the same. Eris's Greek opposite is Harmonia. Woo!
Ooh, yeah.
But anyway, strife and discord. I think it's a pretty nasty messaging they're putting out here. The narrative is sort of setting up for a bit of a rough autumn. They have some passages from different Greek writings that describe ERIS. There's a couple different ones. I thought this one was interesting. In Hesiod's Theogony, ERIS, the daughter of night, is less kindly spoken of as she brings forth other personifications as her children. So this is Eris's children. What can we expect for this autumn? And hateful Eris bore painful, I'm just going to give the English versions of these words here. Hardship, forgetfulness, starvation, pains, battles, wars, murders, manslaughters, quarrels, lies, stories, disputes, anarchy, ruin, and oath.
Wow, okay, so all the things.
All the things that we can look forward to this fall and winter.
Which child is going to be the offshoot of ERIS? Are they going to pick one of these? Because I can see them pick.
The variants, you mean?
Yeah, the dysnomia or something. Like the next one. It's not following any. It's dysnomia. It's anarchy or something.
Dysnomia. I was going to say anarchy is pretty funny. You could do Horkos, which means oath. And that's when you have to take the oath. If you finally have to take your mark of the beast.
Yeah, that's true.
The form of your Horkos to survive the new pandemic. We've seen it go up and down several times. Something about this one, when they name it, that's kind of the thing, right?
They said unofficially named, though.
They're all unofficially named until they're not, aren't they? Because since Omicron, it's been XBB and blah, blah, blee, 842, 445 blee, right? None of the variants have had a name yet. So I think the fact that we're getting a name warrants paying attention, because as much as we like to think that, we evaded the worst outcomes of the response to the disease is one thing, but the responses to the disease is an entirely different thing. And I think that's an interesting part about this ERIS thing, because what does ERIS bring? Well, it's hardship, forgetfulness, starvation, pain. So far, these are all like lockdown related, government related, offshoots of disharmony or of discord or strife. It's not necessarily that the disease causes starvation. It's that lockdowns cause people to lose their jobs or whatever. Battles, wars, murders, manslaughters, quarrels, lies, disputes, anarchy, ruin, oath. These are all things you can ascribe to the responses to COVID.
It is like a spell almost. Create this chaos.
Right.
One of the conversations that was happening during the pandemic and the lockdown and everything, especially as the variants came out, was how did they come up with this? Remember, there were mainstream articles talking about how, we thought about using the pantheon of Greek gods and goddesses, but it would just be too stigmatizing, and it wouldn't work. What do you got? You got the Zeus variant? It's just too much. But they found ERIS, which is interesting because ERIS, it says in that wiki thing that ERIS didn't have any temples, I think, right? It says at the top there. She had no temples in ancient Greece and functions essentially as a personification, as which she appears in Homer and many later works. So she wasn't actually worshipped in ancient Greece. It was kind of like a mystical personification, a conversation, and then literarily sort of adopted later on. So perfect name. It's not really from the pantheon, but it kind of is.
It's not worshipped. It's not like there's ERIS worshippers.
Right. You're not going to stigmatize your ancient Greek people.
Followers, yes, of course. Yeah,
the Greek pantheon.
Well, that's anywho. I thought this is they haven't named one for a while. This is the first one we're getting a name for. That's what I was. Sorry, I got off track. As much as we like to think that we are over it, that the COVID master plan or whatever has. Yeah, it's a perfect. I mean, I'm just imagining the perfect timing of, okay, we'll let everything kind of get back to where it was, and then we won't, and everybody will already be primed to do the lockdowns again. They'll be primed to whatever. I don't know. I'm not ready to start screaming, lockdowns quite yet. But I think the fact that they're giving this one a name and they're making such a big deal about the increases recently, it's a little bit more than what they've done since the big ones.
Well, especially because of the quote unquote awakening, with all these people realizing that they can't trust their institutions and governments and all that kind of stuff. Each iteration of lockdown or some kind of mandate is going to create a more violent reaction, and emotionally and physically in some instances. Maybe that's what the FBI story is about, that it's sort of like, hey, this is the rubber's meeting the road, like, hey, we're going to lock down. If you don't comply, like things will happen to you, kind of like a threat.
Right.
But it seems like there's it's kind of like when the orgs, they lose, they go back underground, they build new armor, and they're gonna come back. That's why anytime all this awakening and all this kind of stuff, I've been kind of the guy, the party pooper in a sense, because I have been around long enough to know that you can have some victories and you can say, hey, this is a victory for the truth or whatever it might be, but it only means that the other side is gathering more information, learning, becoming better, evolving in its tactics and methodologies. Game. Right. And so when they come back, it's going to be even more blatant and probably egregious and unthinkable levels of mandate and things of that nature. So, it's hard to believe. It would have been hard to believe 5 years ago that in the United States, our intelligence or, some parts of our military would just start arresting citizens and things of that nature. And we started to see that around the world and a little bit in the U.S. during COVID. Again, the next time they do it, especially in the West, especially in America, because we are the most armed nation in the world, I just don't see it ending well. Like every iteration of some kind of lockdown, I'm not looking forward to it. So,
right. Well, I mean, that's a good point because some people's sort of view on it is really it's the Second Amendment that is kind of the only thing standing between sort of the
total takeover.
The hellish expression of authoritarianism justified by all sorts of things. But yeah, what an interesting message it's not a new phenomenon, but again, the timing of, hey, this is Second Amendment. You don't like what's going on. You're anti-American. Well, Biden himself has made comments about, those Second Amendment people, they don't have F-16s, they don't have missiles, they don't have what are you going to do? The president of the United States, sort of unprovoked, is like threatening his own citizens with the might of the American military.
Crazy.
This is a couple of years ago, but still, it's just like, what an insane mindset. To have in the White House.
It makes sense because all the policies that Obama put in place with what the government can do to the your regular American citizen. Biden is sort of hyperdrive in that direction. I will say.
I don't know.
I was going to say that part of this stoking and heightened emotions comes from stories like this, or we're going to cover here from the express.co.uk.
I was going to say, Gons, we don't need to fear COVID. There's no need to fear ERIS because we got other things going on. Express.co.uk, heart attack, the shower habit that could precipitate a heart attack in the healthy.
What?
So this is the thing. People are having heart attacks in the shower. They're having heart attacks doing all sorts of things, but heart disease, one of the biggest killers in the UK, is characterized by difficulty pumping blood around the body. Some studies have shown that several habits could trigger an event, one of which may occur in the shower.
Just a note before we read this. This was published July 22nd, 2022. So this is a little over a year old.
Yes. Oh, was it?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I must have got the year wrong on that.
It's okay. It's relevant.
Yeah,
it's relevant.
Still good. Still relevant. Heart attack is understood mainly in terms of its association with other comorbidities, having more than one condition concurrently. Such as high cholesterol, hypertension. A sudden halt in blood flow to the heart can dangerously starve the organ of oxygen. Although people are still conscious and breathing, one habit, in the shower, could precipitate the onset of symptoms. Many heart attack victims report chest pain and shortness of breath in the moments leading up to an attack. The condition is behind 10,000 hospitalizations annually, but thankfully the diffusion of treatments means many now survive the event. According to experts, exposure to sudden gushes of water could be dangerous for individuals.
What?
With heart disease. Yes, sudden gushes of water, Gons.
Don't stand.
Why is everybody having all these heart attacks? Well, sudden gushes of water.
Jerome was too close to a sprinkler the other day.
Yeah. Stay away from sprinklers. Stay away from waterfalls. And my God, people, stay out of the shower. Quote, a heart attack occurs. We know when a heart attack occurs. Heart attack is also called, we know what a heart attack occurs.
Here, cold shower shock. That's, hey, this is talking to you.
Here we go. The conversation. Oh, the conversation pops up. The conversation is an outlet that has been rife with
controversy with the
controversy.
Some fake
reported earlier this year that cold showers may have a negative effect on people with heart disease, quote, as it could precipitate a heart attack or heart rhythm irregularities. Cold water shock causes blood vessels in the skin to contract, which increases the resistance of blood flow inside the body. As a result, heart rate also increases, which makes it harder for the heart to pump. blood around the body, the pressure inside the blood vessels is likely to go up as a result. So what would you call it? The fad sweeping the nation, cold plunges, cold showers, so good for you. It's supposed to be so good for your circulation. It brings you calm, muscle recovery, all these things. Who are the people taking cold showers, Gons? It's mostly kind of the young, healthy Joe Rogan types.
I was gonna say athletes.
Especially athletes.
It
says here the American Heart Association cites research showing that plunging into cold water during hot weather can cause heart attacks, even in the young, fit, and healthy individuals. Suddenly, Gons, out of nowhere, young, fit, and healthy individuals can have heart attacks by being too cold.
Especially a lot of the sports ball people.
I'm watching sports. Sports did good. Ooh, did the ball go?
That's right. It's a big recovery method in sports, is taking that ice bath.
Yeah. It's standard.
Yeah. But, everybody's been complaining about suddenly how all these young, healthy men are collapsing on the field, blaming it on untested, unproven medical treatments, those crazy conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Well, the science is in. All these young, healthy athletes are having heart attacks because of a cold bath.
It's the cold baths. It's the
finally
cold dip.
Figured it out.
Well, just to list a few in recent months, weeks, a lot more, even more recently, and just to piggyback on the story, I think it was fine to bring the story even though it's a year old because it almost pre-prescribes what we might see in the coming years. And here we are. We had the Damar Hamlin situation, the football player that collapsed on the field. That was a big deal, and there's a lot of conspiracy and stuff surrounding that. And of course, leading up to some other things, we had today, Pinson Valley High School star basketball player Caleb White dies after medical emergency at school. And so there's another young athlete. I think he was 17 years old.
Right.
We also had a basketball player die from heart attack after blaming heart condition on vaccine. He was a professional Dominican basketball player, Oscar Cabrera Adams, passed away at 28 years old while he was getting a stress test. And then, of course, the big one that happened, I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, CBS Sports reporting Bronny James, that's LeBron James' son, cardiac arrest updates. What we know as son of LeBron James recovers from heart issues. So he was working out at USC. I think he's supposed to be a freshman there next year. And cardiac arrest. I mean, he's 18 years old?
Right.
I have to say, even just in general, when you have people that are in the limelight, like sports, and especially basketball, football, these are big sports, not just in America, but around the world, because we've always kind of heard about the soccer players and other countries passing out and stuff, but it was soccer. So in America, we were like, okay, sure, maybe they're just flopping because flopping is really bad in soccer. But, once you have it in America, you start to kind of think differently about maybe what's going on. And it seems to have sparked a part of the quote unquote awakening that mainstream would carry these stories and not say the part that everyone's talking about. That's the big part of the PSYOP too, where they report all this stuff. It happens, but then they never mention, or if they do it in those crazy conspiracy theorists saying with no evidence that it was the vaccines, even though there's obviously a trend happening here.
Well, Gons, I was going to say, in case anybody was tempted to blame any of this on the vaccine, just in case anybody was even thinking about it, I wanted to bring this Forbes article.
Okay.
Just the headline.
Article? Oh, the headline.
It says, here's why vaccines probably didn't cause Bronny James's cardiac arrest. There in Forbes, Gons.
Okay.
Right there in Forbes. I don't want any of your crazy conspiracy theorist mumbo jumbo. Forbes writes, here's why vaccines probably didn't cause Bronny James's cardiac arrests. Okay? So put down that itchy trigger finger, YouTube moderators. We're reading from Forbes. Don't worry. I got you.
The other thing, and I'm not trying to, this might get me canceled, but there is also a pattern forming with all these young athletes that are having these heart issues. They're all black, so far at least. And
interesting.
And I will just say that
are they? Are they
the ones
really?
we mentioned here are Damar Hamlin.
The ones we mentioned. We gotta get
Caleb
a
White,
comprehensive list.
The Dominican player Oscar Cabrera Adams and Bronny James.
Right.
But I will just mention the study. We've mentioned the study before, but it was published on PubMed, so the National Institute of Health website here. They had a study, New Insights into Genetic Susceptibility of COVID-19 and ACE Tempers to Polymorphism Analysis. And this was the article that mentioned which races seem to be most susceptible to the ACE2. And they say African Americans basically number one in terms of the the problems this particular variant or whatever it's called.
Aspect of
the COVID virus
spike protein thing.
With the least amount being to Ashkenazi Jewish, and that's not just me saying it; it's written there in the article. So, it's just one of those things that makes you go, huh? I'm not saying I'm.
It's weird stuff.
Claiming
weird
anything,
stuff,
I'm just saying, huh?
Weird stuff going on. Forbes. Here's why Bronny James's vaccine probably didn't cause the cardiac arrest. Forbes has the answer right there, probably.
And we know the African American community in general in the United States is heavily targeted with all kinds of
all sorts of stuff.
I mean, recently they had the flash mob thievery. I forget what it was called. Basically,
there's
TikTok,
a couple different things.
TikTok made something go viral to organize these mob robberies, and I think they were saying there was like hundreds of people that went into these stores and stole like $300,000 worth of stuff, and obviously nobody does anything about it because that's been the trend in California is when people come in with large trash bags and start taking stuff. Everyone takes out their phone and starts filming. Nobody stops them. So
probably don't want to get in between.
And the fact that TikTok is the one facilitating this trend, we know about the button.
China.
Yeah, the button that does the trends on TikTok. So yes,
they call it the hot button. There's a hot button. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a second and thank some of our very talented producers. I have a question for you. Did we get any voicemails?
Of course we did. We got a speak pipe, baby.
Excellent.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. On any of the pages at the website, you will see a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click on it. It'll open a little window that allows you to record an audio message of up to 90 seconds. And we shall play it if it is appropriate. We have a message from Dave. Dave is back. He's got something to say to us.
Here we go.
Hey guys, just Dave one more time. First, Gonzoid. I keep waiting for you to rip out your Les Paul and shred some arpeggios. In a minor key, of course. Major is so jejune. And Bassmeister, I listened to over and over, and I just need some clarification for my records. Are you whoopsieing many daisies with an O or whoopsieing many daisies with a W? Thank you, and hopefully I'll get a response, and have a nice day, guys.
That is a really good question. There's been a long-lasting dispute between the whoopsie daisies or the oopsie daisies. Really, a lot of people don't really understand the history and the etymology of. Actually, the whoopsie and the oopsies split from one another. I think in the ancient Aztec period, where the oopsies referred to sort of the lunar sacrifices being made, and the whoopsies was more about the solar sacrifices. You know, you do a whoopsie daisies in the daytime and oopsie daisies in the nighttime. And but in sort of modern colloquialisms, they're more or less interchangeable, unless you are whoopsie-ing or oopsie-ing somewhere in Central America. You can really embarrass yourself as an American tourist if you don't use those at the right time. But on this show, podcasts are timeless, so who knows when people are listening to the show. So I tend to not bother too much about the oopsie whoopsie distinction. That's just my. Other people have, other preferences, but around here we're pretty laid back about it.
Okay, well that's good history. You almost seemed like you had done a little digging on it.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that, but I know what I'm talking about here. I'm a podcaster, guys.
And Dave, I do not own a Gibson Les Paul, so I mean, if you got one for me, I'll take it. But I don't own a Gibson Les Paul. I have a Gibson Flying V, and that's the only Gibson I have actually. I should have a Les Paul.
Get on it. Get on it, bro.
I know. I went with some more metal-y type of guitars earlier on. So Les Paul, I suppose, is a kind of metal.
Not much of a smooth jazz fella.
Well, Les Paul is very versatile. The sustain on them is quite brilliant. So, and I actually have not played arpeggios on a Les Paul, so I wouldn't really know what it feels like. Maybe it's something I'll do on air for the first time. Dave, just send me a Les Paul.
Yeah, you can
preferably from the 50s. That'll be really a treat.
Hit the P.O. box at canarycry.support.
Oh yeah,
thank you very much, Dave.
Just a reminder, that is going to change pretty soon here. So,
but it has not changed right now.
Not yet, but
we will announce it.
It's going to happen soon. Yeah. Okay, let's thank some producers who come in with their talent to help us build the culture behind the community. It's a way to really help us visualize and auditorize. I don't think that's a word. And hear the very different ways in which, we have all these weird topics we talk about. It's to capture the essence of the show. And we're going to start off with some audio production.
Audio production.
All right, we got one piece of audio today, and it comes from Jonathan F. And he gave us a note that says, hello, here's some more lo-fi. I use scripture. 1 Thessalonians 4:13 through 18, 1 Corinthians 15:52 to 54. Enjoy and God bless. Play a few seconds here.
God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by a word from the Lord, that we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the voice of an archangel, and with the sound of the trumpet of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive.
Oh yeah, we'll play the rest of that.
Awesome.
Banging.
That is sweet. We got to put all this lo-fi stuff together in a study album on Spotify. Canary Cry Scholars, lo-fi. A bunch of Lil Owen stuff would go great in there too.
Oh yeah. Make it just a big long playlist. Play it while you're working or studying or something. Excellent job. Thank you very much, Jonathan F. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to art.
One art, please.
And we have something from Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
Dove says in his note, piece for today's artwork, I did a possible sticker design for the all-seeing orb. It's originally made an appearance in episode 360 Sam's Club. Oh, yeah. Artwork when the articles just described it as a basketball-sized orb. So I thought I'd keep the same design. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. Thanks, Doug.
Yes, perfect. And good timing, too. Yeah. I mean, the world, in this time when WorldCoin is going to, start marching towards world domination, having a WorldCoin sticker to share the truth with people is going to be great. And this is great, Sir Dove. We've got a big blue basketball on a sort of pedestal. At the bottom of the pedestal it says WorldCoin there. The big blue basketball is exactly as described, except for one of the panels of the basketball is a giant eyeball. The eyeball that will stare until your soul and steal your identity and put it on the blockchain and seal you into the beast system forever. Up top it says kneel before the orb in big spaggy blue letters. Very cool. And at the bottom we got a couple of canaries bouncing around there looking one's looking very disapprovingly.
Oh, is that me?
At the other, yes, and you've got your hat on. Then the other googly-eyed canary is down there pecking away, doing what he does. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Yep, appreciate it. It's got the canarycry.party link at the bottom there. Although, is this a HTTPS? Is that correct? Technically, it's
we got the S.
Oh, we got the S. All right,
we
great.
got the
Fantastic.
S. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Always appreciate it. And it's funny how even the artists, even the producers of with talent, they're ahead of it, way ahead of it. They can go back into the archives when certain stories come up and boom, we got some art. So thank you very much. I got some thoughts about some things for all the producers here. I want to do things. I want to do things, Basil. I just need time.
Gotta do things.
I need time. Didn't Biden say that? Wasn't that one of his lines? I need time.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where's my?
I need more time.
It's called the Omnicron.
Oh, that's not it. This is it.
Need time.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
All right, we got some microfiction here. Microfictions.
Microfiction.
Time.
Microfiction.
And of course, this first one is from Wrong Smash.
Wrong Smash.
With a deft blow to this monster's enhancement motor, he paralyzes the fiend. Acting quickly, the strange hero grabs a strange basketball-sized orb from a shelf. Knowing this is the last chance to set things right, the thing shrieks in pain and fear.
Yeah, man, don't touch the orb.
And once again, as happens every so often, the microfiction and the art just go together so perfectly. Thank you, Wrong Smash.
Thank you, Wrong Smash. Next up, we have Stefan S. coming in with his microfiction.
The Dukes of Hackers pulled their first cyber attacks across several U.S. cities. Using open source code found online, they turned security robots into menacing real-life Daleks, uttering racial slurs and chasing down students in predominantly black schools.
And once again, almost like the show has,
weird.
Something
it's always
else
weird
guiding
when that
us.
happens, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stefan S. And of course, this is in reference to the story about U.S. schools deploying robo security guards to surveil campuses.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you are a person who wants to put value back into the show, you get value out of listening every week, every single episode. And yeah, maybe the times are tough and supporting the show financially is not in the cards, but you do have the will. You do have the talent. You want to put value back in whatever way you can, because that's really what it's about, folks. It's about the exchange of value, keeping the show alive, making it better than we ever could have alone. So why don't you create something? If you're an artist, create some visual art, some music, some jingles, some microfiction, whatever you do. It doesn't even have to be a thing that we've had before. Still no fushigli jugglers sending in their art. But whatever art you have, go to canarycry.art, create something for the show, and you can upload it there. While you're at it, if you have an article you'd like us to take a look at, consider for the show, go to canarycry.report. Those are the best ways to get that to us. And as always, You can go to canarycry.support to learn more about it all.
Canary cry support. Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Oh, Nephilim update. Yes. Oh, this is also Antarctica.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Antarctica. In the bottom of our planet. Advanced Antarctica. Climate crisis.
Penguins.
Yahoo News, mirroring the Miami Herald headline, large creature with 20 arms found lurking in Antarctic Sea. It's a new species.
That's fine.
New species has been found in the Antarctic oceans. Scientists
Who would have thought?
Scientists aboard a research vessel near Antarctica pulled their nets out of the chilly ocean water. Among their catch, they found a 20-armed creature with a distinctive body shape. It's a new species. Researchers...
Who... Oh, they're researchers. Okay.
Yes, researchers.
I was going to say, the only people fishing Antarctica are the Chinese right now, I think.
Researchers trawled the Southern Ocean. I think Russians are down there, too. The Southern Ocean on several research expeditions between 2008 and 2017, according to a study published July 14th in the journal Invertebrate Systematics. They were searching for a group of cryptic sea animals known as Promacocrinus. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah. Or Antarctic feather stars. Antarctic feather stars are large animals that can live anywhere from about 65 feet to about 6,500 feet underwater and have the, quote, otherworldly appearance when swimming, researchers said.
Real quick. Why is large in
always
quotation marks?
I noticed that too.
Is it always? Or
it is. It's in the headline.
Oh, you mean in this headline? Okay.
It's in the headline.
So
it's in every single time
they
it's
don't believe
mentioned.
that it's large or something. I don't understand.
Maybe it's large for...
This alien squid monster is large. Look at this large animal.
Yeah. You took my punchline away a little bit there by mentioning aliens, but okay, it's not much of a groundbreaking take anyway. But okay, let's see. They're otherworldly swimming. Although both are invertebrate ocean animals, feather stars are distinct from more well-known sea stars. During their survey, researchers collected 8 feather stars with a distinctive body shape and discovered a new species, Promacocrinus fragarius, or the Antarctic strawberry feather star. The Antarctic strawberry feather star has 20 arms branching off its central strawberry-like body, the study said. It can range from purplish to dark reddish. Researchers did not provide measurements of the animal's overall size.
Oh, so we got to put large in quotation marks because they didn't actually measure it.
Big it is. The photo shows new species has 2 types of appendages. Its lower, shorter arms appear almost striped and bumpy, while its upper striped and bumpy, while its upper longer arms appear almost feathered and soft. And yeah,
they do have a picture of this thing.
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
it is terrifying.
It's
looking.
scary.
It is
I saw that thing.
Strangest. It looks like a plant, but a lot of ocean things look weird. But it is terrifying. It does make me question if these scientists have ever seen a strawberry before, because they go on and on and on. Says a close-up photo shows the Antarctic strawberry feather star's lower body has roughly triangular shape, wider at the top, tapering toward the round bottom. The texture appears bumpy with circle-like indents, likely left from broken-off arms. Researchers named the new species after the Latin word for strawberry.
Well, there you go. There's a close-up.
Because of the resemblance, they do put this in quotation marks, resemblance of the body shape to a strawberry. I don't think they've been in Antarctica for too long.
Basil.
I've long been the advocate for bringing sanity and I don't know, humanity to Antarctic scientists, because they are the most depraved, pitiful creatures on this earth. So depraved and pitiful, in fact, that they forgot what strawberries look like.
Scroll down. There's a picture. Okay, stop.
I'm looking at it. It's right here, my friend. That is not a strawberry.
The part that they are calling a strawberry kind of looks like a strawberry, but the stuff that's the arms and the tentacles coming out of it makes it look like not a strawberry. No. I see what you're saying, but not strawberry.
Refuse.
But I can see where they looked at it and they said, that looks like a strawberry. I can understand at the very least what they were thinking. Yes.
Okay. The listeners to the podcast, not the ones watching the video, but if you are part of the 99% of people listening to my voice right now, if you have ever trusted me, ever with anything about any topic, you need to trust me now. These Antarctic scientists have been down in the freezing cold, the darkness of Antarctica for so long that their very souls that will live on for eternity in one place or another have completely forgotten what a strawberry looks like. There is not a single strawberry-y characteristic to this. I understand that these Antarctic scientists, as they eat their freeze-dried gruel and play murder chess every night with their buddies and stare into the deep abyss, not just that of the Antarctic Sea, but that of their own souls as it rots away at the bottom of the earth, as every word that they say being taken and twisted and presented to some elite reptilian climate alarmist agenda. They have forgotten what a strawberry even is. I understand there's 1 square inch of this creature, which is allegedly, quote unquote, large. 1 square inch at the very, very tip of this thing, that I would say if they think it looks like a strawberry, I would hate to hear what they think a banana looks like, or a coconut, or anything. These people need to be rescued. We need to send SEAL Team 6 down to Antarctica to rescue these scientists. This strawberry, why not call it crazy alien dreadlock monster?
Dreadlock, you're right. If the strawberry, it's a cross between if the strawberry was a Pinhead from Hellraiser and a Rastafarian. That's what that looks like.
It looks like a Rastafarian face sucker from the Alien movies. That's what it looks like. The part that they say, and I'm telling you, it does not, but the part that they say looks like a strawberry is almost, I was going to say non-existent, but it's
not non-existent. I will push back.
Inconsequential.
It's not non-existent.
It's like seeing a human and looking at their pinky toe and being like, yeah, this is a bean monkey. Look at it's because that one tiny little part of it looks like a bean. We're calling these humans bean monkeys instead of whatever. This is not a strawberry creature. This is a demon from another dimension. And the scientists who found it were so zapped by some sort of psychic damage field that their brains were scrambled, and they looked at this thing and said, "Nom nom nom,
nom nom." They've been deprived for so long that all this. It's like the trope with in cartoons where people start seeing hamburgers and food and stuff when they're really hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
The same thing happened here. They just saw the thing and they're like, "Oh, strawberry! Oh yeah."
Yeah, and their buddy turns into like a giant chicken leg, and they want to eat it. But in this case, this Rastafarian face sucker from Alien, it looks like a strawberry, and that now all of these scientists have now had their brains sucked out through their eye holes by this demon creature.
See, I all this talk about non-human biologic, and this story comes out. Especially it's coming out of Antarctica, so there's already that kind of suspicion there. But yeah, this thing seems like they just, the alien presence is quote unquote alien.
This is it. This is David. This is David Grush's buddy right here. This is what David Grush is trying to talk about at the congressional UFO hearings, and he's saying non-human biologics. He's talking about Strawberry Demon Monster, who was pulled out of the sea.
I mean, it does make sense timing-wise to talk about the non-human biologics and then, the strawberry monster from the sea. There is a beast that rises out of the sea in the Bible, Basil. Maybe this is part of it. Says it has 10 heads. And,
this is the one.
This is the one. The strawberry.
This is the one. We've found it.
The strawberry
It looks
beast.
so fake. I'm not saying I think it is fake. I'm saying it's not from this dimension. This is definitely.
You're saying that it's definitely like a interdimensional.
If it is
manifestation.
If it is not the sort of active creature who is doing the interdimensional travel, it is some sort of creature,
biological device.
Yeah, could be that too. I was going to say it's like the interdimensional equivalent to a hamster that sort of wandered into the portal and plopped out into Antarctica. And it's surrounded by some sort of psychic static field that scrambles the brains of anybody who sees it. It's a defense mechanism.
Okay. What do you think is the end game here? What are they planning to do with this creature? Why even tell us about it? Because normally, nobody cares about new creatures being found. How come this one gets the attention?
I think they're going to eat it. I think this is a new culinary fad. You're going to go to your Michelin star restaurants and they're going to start feeding you. On the menu, it'll say strawberry calamari. You go, oh, that sounds interesting. This is a nice restaurant. Maybe I'll try the strawberry calamari.
Oh, man. That actually sounds kind of good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's on the dessert menu. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you to all of our producers coming in, keeping the show going. It really means a lot. It warms our hearts and also our microwave burritos. We appreciate that very much. And thank you to the producers who give of their time for us. And, there's a little bit, because of this summer being so crazy, I don't know. I don't need to go into the whole thing, but we are in a phase where there is lots of opportunities for people out there who get value from the show. I don't know. Maybe you're in between jobs. Maybe you're you feel compelled. Maybe you feel the Holy Spirit tugging on your heart to put value into the show, but there's not a lot of extra money, not a lot of extra. Maybe you're not an artist of some kind, but we have a number of projects, a number of things that we are working hard to get going that will really bring a lot of value, not just to the show, not just to Gons and I, but to the whole community. And if you're someone who wants to get involved with that, be a part of something bigger and important, if you ask my mom, or whatever, now would be a great time to do that. You can go to canarycry.support. At the bottom of that page, there's a form that you can fill out that'll just tell us a little bit about you, or you can send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. And with that being said, I want to thank our producers who have helped us in the past with the Canary Cry Clips channel, which you should subscribe to on YouTube and Odyssey. And yes, you guessed it, they're the Clippies.
Clippy on those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey. Go check it out. And that's only possible because of the timestampers.
Oh no, timestampers, where are you?
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that we are sort of in dire need of right now is another time stamper. We had a time stamper who needed to focus on other life things. And thank God for Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps again for episode 652, 653?
53, yeah.
Is that the right one?
I think so, yeah.
Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson. And we could use at least one other timestamper to give Jade a break every once in a while. And let me tell you, folks, this is a very achievable job. This is not complicated. This is very easy. You can just do it while you're regularly watching the show anyways. But it's very important to stuff that we do on the back end. So thank you to Jade Bouncerson. And again, send us an email, canarycryradio@gmail.com if you want to help out.
Sounds good.
Thank you to Jam, Sir Ike, Girl on Fire, and Stephanie J for sending us links at canarycry.report. Thank you to Clank for everything you do. And other than that, folks, share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your 20-tentacled strawberry buddies. Yes, you went on a cruise to Antarctica. Your best buddy Basil's and Gonz's had such an interest in Antarctica over the years that it finally caused you to spring for that Antarctic Jimmy Buffett cruise that you and your friends and family went on. You had a wonderful time. But one day you were looking over the edge of the cruise ship as Margaritaville played in the background, and you looked down at your besandaled feet and your Hawaiian short shorts, and you were staring out over the frozen Antarctic Ocean, and you felt for a moment, just a brief moment, peace in your mind that you've never felt before out in the society that is urging us moment by moment to focus on consumption, on achieving, on how you are what you eat, how you are what you do, these things that bear down on us day by day, that take a toll on our consciousness, and we must find a way through, and somehow we do, even when we don't like it. But for one moment down there on the Jimmy Buffett Antarctic cruise, you look down into the water and you felt peace for once in your life, and you take a breath, and it's almost like you can feel the fresh air clearing out the clutter, the cobwebs, the dust of your mind, and you think, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I've been taught. And suddenly in your head, it's not just clear and free for a moment, but you can't stop thinking about a strawberry. There's for some reason, a strawberry floating in your thoughts. It's almost materializing right in front of you. You can smell it. You can taste it. It's the only thing you can think about. And suddenly, wham, somebody hits you with a deck chair because your face is being sucked with the 20 tentacles of the strawberry monster that is not any sort of earthly thing, but has taken over your mind and for a moment made you obsessed with the one thing that it can never have, and that's a big juicy strawberry. And so after you do that, cut that sucker up, batter it, fry it, take it to the captain's table and tell the captain that it's time for him to check out a new podcast called Canary Cry News Talk. It'll change the way he lives his life, change the way he thinks about the mainstream media. He'll realize how they don't have his best interests in mind. And we call it rattling cages. But if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, you got any last words?
For those of you listening, check out the show notes. You will see a exclusive image of the strawberry monster.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. Check it out.
It's beautiful.
What do you think?
It's beautiful. It's the only thing
I cleared it up for you.
Now. I must go to Antarctica. Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
See you later.
They love killing.
Feed him more. Violence.
Give me a break. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
I'll keep you warm and safe and my people too.
It will kill.
I love the Great Reset.
Armageddon's on the way. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
They love killing.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
But we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, through Jesus, God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by a word from the Lord, that we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the voice of an archangel, and with the sound of the trumpet of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air. And so we will always be with the Lord. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised imperishable, and we shall be changed. For this perishable body must put on the imperishable, and this mortal body must put on immortality. When the perishable puts on the imperishable, and the mortal puts on immortality, then shall come to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
It will kill.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Armageddon's on the way.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
They love killing.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
Canary cried, I suppose.